Okay, remember factoring is writing something as a product. And what we're pretty good at now is if we have a product of binomials, we're good at multiplying those. So take a minute, copy these 3 problems, do the multiplication, check your work, and then I want to point some things out. Okay, a couple of things to notice. First term is always a product. In this case, 4m times 2m gives us the 8m squared. 7a times 3a, 21a squared. 2r times 5r, 10r squared. The first term is always a product. The last term is always a product. It comes from the part of the distribution where you do the last 2 terms. 9 times 7 is 63. Negative 2 times negative 4 is positive 8. Negative 1 times 3 is negative 3. So product, product, and then the middle term is a sum. It's what you get when you combine the like terms of the distribution. So for this one, when you have the 28m plus the 18m, you get the 46m. Okay, the middle term is always a sum. You combine something to get that. The other thing to remember, if the last term's positive, that means the signs match because it's a product, so it's either a positive times a positive, like this gives you a positive, or a negative times a negative gives you a positive. If the last term's negative, that means the signs are different. Okay, the negative 1 times the positive 3 gave you the negative 3. So those are some key things that are going to help you with factoring. Okay, so we need to factor 2x squared minus 9x plus 4. A trinomial, if it factors, will often factor into the product of 2 binomials. So we look, a couple of things we can go ahead and pay attention to. The last term is positive, that means the signs have to match. So we're going to use the sign in the middle. I know I'm going to have a minus and a minus, okay? Then you look at your first term. Your first term is 2x squared. Well, what are my factors of 2? My only factors of 2 are 2 and 1. So I have to have a 2x and a 1x. That's the only way when multiplying I'm going to get 2x squared. Then I look at the last term, which is 4. So my options are 1 and 4. That would be something that could go here and there. Here and here. Or I could use 2 and 2. Now, you can, this is trial and error. You're going to plug things in. You're going to see if they work. Okay? You will get better at it as you go along. You will decide what you like to try first, what you don't like to try first. Okay? So, for example, I'm going to use the 2 and 2 because there's only one way to put those. So I'm going to put the 2 here and the 2 here. Now, I know that the first term is right. 2x times x is 2x squared. I know that the last term is right. Negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4. I need to check the outer and inner terms to see if this is right. So I do negative 2 times 2x. I get negative 4x. I do negative 2 times x. I get negative 2x. Does that equal negative 9x? No. That was wrong. There's no other way I can arrange 2 and 2 because they're the same number, so I can throw that out. So I'm going to try again. I still know the 2x and x are the only way to go. I still know both my signs have to be negative. I'm going to try the 1 and 4. So I put the 1 here, the 4 here. I know my first term, 2x times x, 2x squared. My last term, negative 1 times negative 4, positive 4. I need to check for the middle. And the way you check for the middle is to multiply the outside ones and the inside ones. I get negative 8x minus x. Does that give me negative 9x? It does. So it took me 2 turns, but that's okay. I got the right answer. All right, let's try another one. 5m squared plus m minus 6. Going to set up my two binomials. I'm going to look at my last sign. It's negative, so I know that means that my signs have to be different. I look at my first term, 5. It's prime. The only factors of 5, are 1 and 5, so I know I have to have a 5m and an m. I have some choices for the 6. I have 2 and 3. I have 1 and 6. Okay? Now, you can sort of try it out in your head. You can sort of see what works, what doesn't. If I try, for example, the 2 and the 3, I check my outer, I check my inner, negative 15 plus 2m, no go. Not good, right? You could reverse. We could say 5m plus 3 and m minus 2. Same numbers, just reversing. I get negative 10m plus 3m. That would give me a negative 7m. Neither one of those gave me a 1, so I'm going to throw out the 2 and the 3. Then I'm going to try again. Got to try the 1 and the 6 this time. Okay, so let's see. I get what? Negative 30m. I forgot an m here, didn't I? Plus m. That's a negative 29. That's far away from 1. So let's reverse the 6 and the 1. Again, I know my first term's right. 5m times m is 5m squared. 6 times 1 is 6. I'm trying to get this middle term. So I check the outer, negative 5m. I check the inner, plus 6m. Ding, 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 ding. That gives me the 1m. So, took me a few times. It's okay. Remember, you can always check these by remultiplying. 5m times m, 5m squared. Negative 5m plus 6m is the positive m. 6 times negative 1 is negative 6. All right, let me show you two special cases. When the first term is negative, if the first term is negative, you want to factor out a negative 1. You want to undistribute a negative 1. So you're going to take a negative 1 to the outside, or just the negative sign, and you're going to change the sign of everything in the trinomial. Okay, so if the first term is negative, take it to the outside, change the sign of everything. If you were to distribute this, it would be what you started with, right? Don't lose this negative. It is now part of your answer. So now, this one, what have I got? A positive and a positive, so my signs have to match and be positive. My only factors of 7 are 7 and 1. I've got some choices for 6. I can use 1 and 6. I can use 3 and 2. I see that my goal is to get to a 23. So I'm going to multiply the 7 by the 3, and I'm going to put the 2 here. Let's see if that works. That gives me 21y. That gives me 2y. That gives me the 23 I'm looking for. So this is my answer. Okay, the other thing I want to talk about is making sure you look for a GCF when you factor. If you are told to factor or factor completely, that means if there is anything in common to all the terms, you have to take it out. So in 18c squared plus 12c minus 6, you look at 18, 12, and 6, and you see that there's a 6 common to all of these. So you're going to factor a c out, or undistribute it. You're going to get 3c squared plus 2c minus 1, right? Really, it helps you. 1, it gets that out. Don't lose it. It's part of your answer. 2, it makes all these numbers a little nicer to deal with, okay? So I have the 6. Then I'm going to factor the resulting or remaining trinomial. 3c squared is 3c times c. I know my signs have to be different, and I know that the only factors of 1 are 1 and 1, okay? I have to check my sign here because the signs are different. If I check my outer, I get negative 3c, right? 3c times negative 1 is negative 3c. My inner is c, and I get a negative 2c. Notice that what I got was the opposite of what I need. When that happens, all you have to do is swap your signs. So I do 6, then I'm going to do 3c minus 1, and c plus 1. If you were to remultiply this, and I haven't been showing all of this, but if you were to remultiply this, 3c times c, 3c squared, plus 3c minus 1c would give me my plus 2c, and negative 1 times 1 gives me my negative 1. So this is my answer. There's this GCF out there that has to be out there. Now, this would factor. Here's what would be confusing about this. You can factor this, but then this 6 is still going to be embedded in there somewhere, and it has to be brought out. Okay, so always look for that GCF first. There may not be one, but if there is, do it, get it out, then factor.